Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today as I take a deeper look into the most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 4, Episode 16, or Season 5, Episode 2. I don't know which one is which. I'm not going to be doing a full episode recap as there are other content creators who do a great job of this. Instead, I'm going to be focusing on specific segments of the episode that I believe could be used as teachable moments for myself and the audience. There are two segments of this episode. There are a couple of them that were interesting, but I'm going to start off with Maurice and Kimmy because their scene came up at the end of the show. It's fresh as in my memory, okay? So basically, Kimmy and Maurice were talking to Dr. Francis about the dynamics of their marriage and why Maurice thinks that, his wife should have sex with him at least twice a day or every day, right? At least every day. That's what he said. And, this reminded me of the scene in season 2 when Cedric, Martell, and Maurice were at the campsite talking about Martell's affair and the baby that was on the way. And I think Cedric asked, was she capable of doing it, right? And that question always triggered me because it made me feel as if a man thinks that a woman is capable of having sex if she's physically present. Yes, some of them fall back when a woman's on her cycle. Yes, some of them fall back when the woman has had a baby. Yes. But if she's not on her cycle and she's not just had a baby, these men think that a woman having a hole makes her available for sex every single day. And she should have no qualms about doing that with her husband. And this was the argument that Martell gave for the past several seasons, that Melody was not satisfying him, but Melody had 2 babies for him within a 12-month span. Okay, to me, this is very dehumanizing because they don't care about how the woman is feeling. They don't care if she's tired. They don't care if she's sick. They don't care if she's mentally not in this space where she wants to have sex, especially after working all day outside the house and taking care of everything within the home. This is not something that only happens in the Black community. It's actually a very common complaint that married women have. When men get married, they benefit more than women do, because when men get married, by and large, they're expecting an in-house maid. Okay, they have a maid, a chef, a servant, and a blow-up doll to satisfy themselves with at whim. So it doesn't matter if the woman is tired, if she's sick, if she's just not feeling up to it, if she's there, he's entitled to use her body to pleasure himself. And guess what? The husbands don't even make it easier for their wives to want to pleasure them every single day. That is impossible. And Kimmy said, before we got married, I had a grown son who was in college, who was basically an adult, right? And I was taking care of me and him, and that's it. Now I'm taking care of a household full of people working full time, and you're expecting me to be there at your beck and call because you feel like it. So after you have your fun, you're like, go back to work, slave. She didn't say that part, but that's exactly what it is, right? Instead of both of them getting up and doing the laundry, and both of them getting up and meal prepping, and both of them getting up to clean the house, Kimmy is left to manage the household, right? After Marsau gets his fun. Okay, managing a household is just like managing a business. This is why so many women are great at entrepreneurship, because we know how to multitask very well. But it is not fair to expect your woman to have a career of her own, right? Working at a very labor-intensive job as a nurse. She's a nurse, then she comes home, satisfies her husband, and has to manage it. So what is the husband doing? All he gets to do is go to work and then come home and get his needs met, and then he's on vacation for 10 hours a day. When does the wife get the break? A few weeks ago, I saw this video on TikTok. There was a white woman who was married, and she was upset about being the only one doing the laundry during the course of their relationship. I think she had been married for about 10-12 years, and she was the only one throughout their entire marriage doing the laundry, working outside the home, taking care of the babies while the guy watches sports all day. This is such a common issue in so many relationships. So she said, I'm going to see what my husband does if he sees the laundry piling up and I'm not doing it, right? So what she did was she didn't do the laundry for a couple weeks, and guess what happened? The clothes piled up in the corner. The laundry room was filled with clothes, okay? And instead of the husband helping out and using all his big muscles to do some freaking laundry to help his wife out, he decided to throw the detergent away because he said she wasn't using it anymore, right? Instead of him helping out, he decided to be passive aggressive and throw the laundry detergent away as if it's her fault that it's not being done because that's her job. And she was like, when are you going to help out? I think this is called weaponized incompetence. There are some men who refuse to do any household chores. So what happens is if their wife asks them to do something, they'll either do it half-assed or they'll wait so long to do it that the wife gets frustrated with the mess and the dirt in the house that she'll just do it herself, right? These men who don't mind getting bashed in the face at the bar, okay, after a night of drinks with their homies, and then they come home and laugh about it, they have an issue folding clothes. These men who get into car accidents and motorcycle accidents and they laugh about their broken bones and they wear them as a badge of honor, right? They have an issue vacuuming the damn house. Managing a household, okay, especially a big household, 5 bedrooms, right? I think is it 5 bedrooms or 5 rooms, she said. We have the kitchen, bathrooms, basements, you know, the kids' bedroom, all of this space that she has to manage and maintain by herself. I'm not sure she has any help. She should be able to hire help around the house. She shouldn't have to do that, but I hope that she does get some help at some point. Because, you know, if you have all these men in the house, why am I paying somebody else to help me clean up this? If she was a single mother, that's different. But she's not only married to an able-bodied man, she also has a stepchild she's taking care of that's also an able-bodied male. He needs to be doing things around the house too. Why can't he help with the laundry? Why can't he help with the meal prep? He's not 9 years old. I think he's 14, 15 now. He needs to be helping out with the household duties and responsibilities, period. As I said before, a lot of these men get married because they want a maid. They want a maid that is a blow-up doll. They don't care about the woman's emotional, psychological, or physical state when it comes to sex. It's just like they have all this energy. First of all, men have more energy than women, period, just because they have testosterone. Usually, these men have more energy than women, but the women have more work. So now these men have an excess of energy to the point where they're obsessively thinking about sex to blow off steam. And the woman who has less energy by nature, right? She's the one doing the bulk of the work inside and outside the home. And then these men wonder why women close up and don't want to be around them. And they file for divorce 80% of the time because the woman is doing 80% of the work in the house and 50% of the work outside the home. So a woman is paying 50-50 of the bills and doing 100% of the work in the house. That is insane to me. That's not fair. But these men don't care about that. It's not all men, because there are some men who are really good partners. There are some men who go 50-50 outside the house and 50-50 inside the home. And they're great husbands. And more than likely, these women don't file for divorce from men who are doing some of the work in the home, right? There are other issues that come about as far as like the woman feeling stressed out about the husband not contributing financially. But again, the woman has to do everything. She has to contribute financially and she's helping out around the house. It is rare to find a woman, a wife, who is working full-time outside the house and not doing any work in the home, right? These men will work full-time outside the house and not lift a finger in the home. Dr. Francis, I think in season 2, asked Martell, was Melody capable of satisfying you sexually, right? And then he was like, yeah. That's not even considering how she was feeling, what she was thinking, her workload during the day. Did she have enough energy? Was she exhausted? She pushed out 4 babies out of her body, 3 babies out of her body. That is a lot of work. And these men don't care about that because they don't have the empathy or the emotional intelligence to say, you know what? Let me make my wife's life easier. Let me hire someone to help out. If I can't do it myself and I don't have enough time, let me hire someone else to do this, right? Not a pretty maid that can make my wife feel insecure and jealous. Not that. Just, hiring a cleaning service that is to help her out once a month or twice a month, whatever, so that she has more time for me, right? Let's do that. Or let me do the stuff myself. Why not take the initiative to do the laundry? Because I know it has to be done every single week. Why not take the initiative to load the dishwasher? Because I know it has to be loaded 3 times a day. Why not take the initiative to vacuum the house? Because I know it has to be done. Why does she have to ask me to do certain things? Taking out the freaking garbage once a week is not man's labor. That is the bare minimum. That is below the bare minimum. That's child's work. A big ass man with muscles, putting the garbage bag on the corner. That's supposed to be his job. That's it. That's done in 15 seconds. Loading the dishwasher 3 times a day, doing laundry, vacuuming, cooking, putting away the dishes, all this stuff that's another job. That's another part-time job at least. Another 20 hours a week on top of the 45 hours a week the woman is spending outside the home. And a lot of these men don't care about that. They don't. At the very least, what's his name? Marsau had Tisha staying at home with the kids. At least he did not force her to work outside the home. Okay? That is something that is, some women may feel some kind of way about that. It is what it is. But at least he wasn't playing the 50-100 game with her, right? 50% of the bills, but 100% of the housework at home. At least he wasn't doing that. Fine. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about Miss Marlene and Melody's scene. Basically, Melody was offended by Miss Marlene insinuating that she was lazy and that she was going to break Martell's big ass by asking him to do things around the house for her and the children. Melody had 2 babies within a 12-month span, okay? I think they were natural births, right? That means she got pregnant 3 months after giving birth to her first child, okay? I think at this time, Melody and Martell had started their businesses, so Melody was managing that as well. Miss Marlene said a couple seasons ago that she was upset and worried about Martell doing so much work around the house, and Melody was spoiled, and Martell do this, Martell do that. If Melody was taking some time off, right, she wasn't as active as she usually is for the 3 or 4 or 5 months after having her second baby within 12 months, she's entitled to do that, okay? How is Miss Marlene going to say Melody wasn't doing anything or she was being spoiled if Melody was cooking and cleaning and still managing the household chores and responsibilities? Martell said he wasn't supposed to be cooking. He doesn't even know how to cook, right? He didn't think that was his job, and I guess Miss Marlene didn't believe it was his job neither, okay? Which is another interesting point, that Melody was doing all of this work in the home, and she never suggested that Martell help Melody around the house to give her more time to satisfy him or to want to satisfy him. If Martell wasn't cooking or cleaning or doing laundry, what was Melody asking this big muscular man to do that he could not handle? I think Miss Marlene got triggered by Melody asking Martell to do anything for her because apparently, and I'm just speculating here, apparently Miss Marlene never really had anybody to take care of her. I think Martell mentioned this. He mentioned that she never got married and she never found someone to be the man for her that he was to Melody, and that's something that bothered him, right? So Miss Marlene probably got triggered and a little bit jealous when her stepdaughter was asking Martell to pull his weight around the house. She pushed out the baby. She was still running the businesses. She was still cooking and she was still cleaning with 2 new babies that she pushed out of her hoo-ha. Martell did not have to grow and push a baby out of his body. It is exhausting to grow a baby, to give birth to the baby, and then to feed the baby off your own body. Breastfeeding is exhausting. It is exhausting being a mother all the way around, and then we have to deal with the potential of postpartum depression. So according to Miss Marlene, Melody did not have the luxury, okay, or the right to ask her husband to make her life a little bit easier after giving birth to his 2 children within a 12-month period. And this is why Melody does not want to be around Miss Marlene, because Miss Marlene enables Martell. She coddles him. How dare you say something like that? I understand why Melody does not want to be around Miss Marlene. I wouldn't want to be around someone that's two-faced towards me either. How dare you say I'm lazy? And your man-child is literally cheating on me because I don't have enough time for him, right? That's what his excuse was. So what am I doing with my time? I'm building Holt & Holt and Holt Custom Homes. So I'm doing most of the work outside the home, most of the work in the home, but how dare I take a beat back and sit up a little bit for a couple months while my body heals, while I'm breastfeeding, right? While managing the administrative work from the home. I think that they mentioned Melody and Martell bringing the kids to their work with them. So I don't know when they started Holt and Holt Custom Homes, but they could have started it right after they had, or right before they had the 2 babies, the 2 oldest children. So that's a possibility. But yeah, that's exhausting. Melody was never lazy. You can see how not lazy she is. But Miss Marlene is not used to seeing a man take care of a woman. And that's why she was triggered. And that's not necessarily her fault, because she grew up at a time where a lot of men were on drugs. A lot of these men in the South don't feel like they have to take care of a woman. They want the woman to take care of them. Okay. A lot of these men are spoiled, like Maurice, who expects sex from Kim every single day, while she's making money outside the home, working outside the home, and taking care of everything within the house. So Miss Marlene's mentality is problematic. And it's the reason why Melody needs to keep her distance from her. She can be cordial with her. She can be respectful. That's fine. But to have her in her ear, nobody wants to hear what you got to say. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. And I noticed this in season 1 and 2. I noticed that Melody looks a lot like Miss Marlene. When I first saw Miss Marlene, I'm like, is this her mother? Or is this Martell's mother? This is also a reason why Martell is so emotionally attached to Melody, because she reminds him of his mother to some extent. Okay. But anyway, now I'm going to discuss, what's his name? Tiffany and Louis. I forgot that Tiffany was apprehensive about having a baby. And now this is, when I saw that, I was like, this is some BS. This is some BS. Either they're trying to create a fake storyline, or as I said before, Tiffany is using this baby, dangling the idea of a baby, to give Louis a false sense of security until she gets to whatever level she's trying to get to. That's what I suspect about that. They have no sexual chemistry whatsoever. And it could be because of time, but Martell and Melody still have sexual chemistry, even though they can't stand each other. Okay. Even Kimmy and Maurice have chemistry when they're together, and they've dated for longer than the Whitlows dated. I think they dated for 7 years and they've been married for 3 years, something like that. So yeah, this relationship seems fake, or Tiffany is not being honest about how she feels about having a baby, and she may be using a baby to make Louis feel as if she wants to be with him when she's not interested. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm just speculating here, but it seems like that's an issue. But overall, I'm happy to see the show kind of settle into some semblance of normalcy without the strife and the drama and the conflict. As I said before, in the earlier seasons and episodes, I liked the camaraderie that I saw with the cast. And unfortunately, Martell and Melody were not going to be able to make it to this counseling session, because they would have probably burned the whole house down on some Mr. and Mrs. Smith stuff. And their energy together is very volatile in general. It would have been nice to see them there, but I think that the energy between them is so volatile that one or both of them would be easily triggered by an offhand statement made by anybody, and neither of them like to let things go. So it was probably best that they did not go on this retreat together. I wouldn't be surprised if later on in the season, for the sake of the show, Melody not reconciled, but somebody would extend an olive branch between the women, the cast on the show, and they will all start to get together again for relatively short scenes together or events and things like that. You know, the fake frenemy thing dynamic they have on these reality shows. All of these reality shows have a frenemy dynamic. All of them. I don't like you, but because we're on the show together, we got to hang out. I wonder if Carlos King is making this season 5 because he wants to rush to syndication. I think a show gets syndicated after 100 episodes. And if we are on season 3, 4 or 5, right? Season 1, I believe, had 20 something episodes, 20, 40, I don't know. But if this is season 5, then again, that would mean that the show was ready for syndication. And the break that they had was only meant to extend. It's going to extend this season. So instead of them being done in 6 more episodes, they'll have another 10 or 15 episode run until another break. That's what it seems like to me, because we're supposed to be on episode 16 or 17 of season 4, which will only leave about 5 more episodes. If it's season 5, episode 2, they may try to run this through to January or December. That's what I think. And then give them another Christmas break. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I am happy to see that Melody is healing to the point where she's opening herself up to people more. but I wouldn't be surprised if she gets easily triggered by them again, because a lot of the issues have not been resolved. There are some philosophical differences among the women and the men on the show, and these differences are the reasons why it's difficult for them to actually agree on anything, especially between Martell and Melody. Both of them believe that they did the best they could in their relationships. And I said this last year. I said that Martell resented the fact that nothing he did could make Melody happy, or nothing he did could make him the focal point of Melody's life. I said that Melody is very career oriented, and Martell took it as a slight or a personal insult, as if he wasn't worth enough for her to focus her attention on him. It is not about that. I said that Melody has always been ambitious, and she finds affirmation and validation through career accomplishments, while Martell finds affirmation and validation through relationships. This clash is a contributing factor in many marriages and relationships, but it's usually the woman who finds her affirmation and validation through her husband, and her husband finds validation through his career. This happens a lot, but the roles were reversed in Martell and Melody's marriage, and this is something that they could not negotiate on. Martell did not make it easier for Melody to be at home more with the kids. However, I don't think that Martell could have done anything to blow out Melody's candle when it comes to her wanting to be a successful entrepreneur. I think that she would have always found something else to do, something else to achieve. This is how a lot of multimillionaires operate. They're always trying to do something new, trying to accomplish new goals for themselves. And unfortunately, those goals may clash with the interpersonal dynamics of a relationship. But the problem that Melody had with Martell was that she was building their family business. It wasn't like she was working, in a completely different field and Martell never saw her. They were working at the same job for the same goal, to build a business and wealth for their family. It wasn't like Melody was not working in the same field as Martell. It wasn't like Melody was some sort of nurse or a doctor and Martell was like a carpenter or construction worker. No, they were working for the same companies, right? And they saw each other, I'm sure, throughout the day for meetings, and then Melody would come home. It's just that Martell began to get insecure because he felt like Melody was in love with the business more than she was in love with him. So he wanted to take her away from that. That's something that a lot of married couples have to go through, women and men. Women who are in Martell's position and men who are in Melody's position. Bobby Womack wrote a song in the 70s called If You Think You're Lonely Now. And during the song, he was talking about how his wife wanted nice things and she was complaining about not having what her friends had. But to get the things that she wanted, he would have to work really hard and long hours, and she would complain about him not being home enough to be with her. So this is not something that's new. The issue between Martell and Melody is not new, okay? A lot of professionals get divorced because they don't have the time to spend with their spouse. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with professional people, they are married to their work. Duke Ellington said that his music is his mistress, period. So it's hard for these people who are focused on the 10th house to devote any time to the 7th or the 4th house. That's why they're in square aspect, because in order for me to be the best that I can be in my career, I have to make some sacrifices on the home front and the relationship front. I can't hang out with you if I have this song in my head that I gotta put out on paper and I have to produce. I can't hang out with you if I have an emergency surgery. Yes, unfortunately, we have an anniversary today, but guess what? Somebody has a brain tumor that has to be operated on it, and unfortunately, I have to cancel on you for the 5th time in 6 months. I am sorry. This is what happens. Now, how they're going to manage that, I don't know. Usually the woman compromises. Somebody has to compromise for the sake of the relationship. But it is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.